Hello, it's me Morris back again with another day of meta-analysis and team highlight for Axie Origins Season 1. Today is probably day 41 around there, so still got quite a while to go, about 20 odd days to go before the season ends. So let's see what the meta is like. So nowadays I'm roughly doing maybe about once or two meta highlights a week, meta analysis and team highlight a week, just because you can see it's not too many changes in a way. So because last week I featured Long Su's team and I did feature the Gaia Embrace, and see that Gaia Embrace will be in the meta. And you can see it's definitely the case, and also the bug as well with the Collect and Protect also getting into the meta. But you can see Gaia Embrace is not only in the Beast Rage team, but also in other teams like I'm trying to find some of the sustain that I'm trying to find. For example, this one, right? Some of the sustain ones as well. So yeah, Gaia definitely is coming up. But you can see where I have to scroll all the way down to find other teams. So basically you can see that the meta is basically all flooded with or at least the very top of the meta is flooded with Endless Anger Beasts, which is kind of what we've expected after seeing the balance changes. Didn't really nerf too much of the beast. And we do see a sustain build as well, but today I actually want to talk about this kind of build, which you see more and more in the top meta, which is I will call it a Beast Dawn Bird build, but effectively it's the Holy Prayer Shady Exchange combo, and there are actually two flavors to it as well. And you can see right there a lot of the Beast Dawn Bird builds coming along, and besides that we do have the sustain, but yeah, you can see mostly is still the beast. Another Beast Dawn Bird here, and then another type that I haven't featured but I will in the future is the mech sustain build with the shield backup, which is very interesting as well. And good to see that double aqua is still up there, meaning that it's still capable to get all the way up there. But other than that, unfortunately you don't really see too many of the other things. I guess one flavor that you'll see about sustain, which I haven't featured for a while, is this gloomy dice, which can be very annoying to play against. But okay, so you can see quite a number of Beast Dawn Bird kind of build coming up, and that is what I'm going to feature today. Another one here, another one here. So at least something new that I'm going to talk about. But before going into one of those, let me actually look at the runes and charms for today and see how it goes. And so you can see the runes and charms, you have to Collect and Protect, and obviously Endless Anger and Gaia Embrace. Those are the big ones that are pretty expensive. And Gloomy Dice I mentioned as well, also using some of the sustain. And then you have the Holy Prayer Shady Exchange combo, definitely up there as well. But unfortunately, so the less or least well used team are the runes are definitely like going down in value, especially the bird one. Unfortunately, I don't think anyone made it work yet. I think it's maybe a bit underpowered, to be honest. Really, this probably might even be worse than Raven's tactic. Of course, you have to build around it, I feel, for this, whereas Raven tactics, you put it on any bird, it will be good, right? So it is a bit underpowered, I feel. Heart of the Ocean actually haven't seen that much play, but still like quite a lot of people do play the double aqua build, so that's why there's quite a lot of demand for this as well. In terms of the charms, right, actually most of the charms are not that well used, other than, okay, so I'll highlight a few, and basically are the ones that retained, especially the bird one, as you'll see later, because you can see a lot of the upcoming build with the Beast Dawn Bird, right, running a lot of the bird cards. And if you don't know what secret egg does, is basically put innate, and innate is very strong. Sure, you do get a bit of a stat decrease, but really, as you know, and as I said many times, it is all about consistency at the top of the meta, because you do have to win a lot of games. So that's why having Innate is very strong, and that's why pre-order tag you'll see a lot as well, costs so much. And the other ones that cost quite a bit is actually Scotch tape, very important for, again, consistency, where you can keep your card and play it the time that you want it, so very important. And rocket stem actually getting pretty good price as well, is because being able to target a particular opponent can also be very strong. Yeah, especially with things like Pokey, which apply taunts to the opponent's Axie, right? Then you can choose which Axie to target and then hit that Axie, so very strong. Yeah, so that is basically the runes and charms for now, and I would assume the pattern will probably stay the same, and the price hopefully will probably decrease over time, just because more and more people will be getting these. Let's just actually then look into the Beast Dawn Bird build, and I've actually opened a number of tabs, and I want to show you two different flavors. So Spam and Rice is basically leading, I would say, this particular flavor that he has been playing for quite a while already. It's basically the AoE flavor. You can see that basically a lot of AoE cards, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, like 8 AoE cards in this whole build. And of course I've talked about the Holy Prayer Straight Exchange combo already, right, where it basically gives you one extra energy per 2 turns. And in this case, with a bit of a disruption as well, you can see with the Sun Charm, with the probably Kestrel, right, so double Kestrel to shut down opponents' spec, especially usually if it's like the Endless Anger Beast or something. But of course, Endless Anger Beasts have definitely a lot of counters, especially Confident, just being able to remove the disarm could be annoying, but also you do get the double talk here, which sleeps the opponent as well, so that could be pretty strong. So quite a lot of disruption with AoE. So I would say very similar build you would assume for like the AoE style. Alright, so you can see the Axies are pretty similar. Of course, some variations, but yeah, you can see this is one flavor, which I won't actually be talking about. That's because I did talked about San Andreas' team before. Of course, all these charms are available, but it's largely similar except for basically the extra energy. One thing to note is that these AoE teams tend to run one Corontail here. Alright, you can see I think most of it run one Corontail. And then the other variant of this Beast Dawn Bird build that I actually want to talk about is this one. Okay, so there are two top players that are playing it so far. So Rengoku at 25, and then Zero Kima at 43, and you can see it very similar. So effectively the Dawn is basically like a bird because it runs all bird pretty much. So I'm trying to like look at the difference, right? And you can see it's very largely very similar. I would say I actually like Zero Kima's build a bit more. It's because it has the 2 double talk, which can be pretty strong. But of course, like having double talk here is also sometimes could be sufficient. You have a Kestrel here as well, like same, right? But I would say the main difference. Before I get into the other main difference, I would say is that they tend to this kind of team tends to run 2 extra energy cost card. All right, so 1 Corontail and 1 Innocent Lamb. Okay, all right, so this gives them a lot more extra energy on top of the Shady Exchange that you get in terms of the energy. And the main difference I would say is actually having a Pokey here can be very interesting. So it allows you to probably taunt a particular, or at least like a random opponent, so that could be good. And I think Ronan could be very strong. Actually, the little piece here and the Exekiss could also be very strong. So that's why I do like this beast quite a lot. But having Golda also very strong. So actually, I'm going to actually just look at Rengoku's team for now, just because they are higher ranked, but I would say it's pretty similar in terms of how these two teams should work. So actually, let's just jump right into the games. Then I can show you the move sets once I'm inside the game. So it's probably easier to do it that way. And now I'm going to choose, let's say this one. That's because I want to see like +8 means they're playing against strong opponent. Whereas right, sometimes it is very frustrating, right? I can show you what can happen is that at the very top, that's why your team has to be very consistent, is because you're going to play against a lot of opponent that only gives you like 3 points, 4 points, all right, per game. Whereas when you lose, all right, so you can see when you lose, you can lose like 16 points per game. So if you lose 3 games, you lose like 36 points. And then you have to win like, I don't know, 8 games to win back the 3 losses, which can be pretty rough when you get to the very top. Okay, let's just actually get into this game, and then we'll see how this particular beast Dawn Bird team functions without AoE. So this is more of a basically the typical aggro variant, I would say, with a bit of disruption. Okay, let me just pause here for now and go into the actual axes and of course runes and charms. So the front is actually pretty straightforward. Pendulum scale with a card draw. Actually, yeah, something I didn't talk about. Card draw, and then yeah, very important is this pre-order attack. I feel like yeah, so this particular charm allows you to get this current tail at the beginning. Okay, so it could be very strong, and because you can see later, it gives you an extra energy. So getting the extra energy at turn 1 could be very important. Getting a card draw, and the rest is actually not as important. So Innocent Lamb, Corntail are the important ones, and card draw could be important too. Golda, of course, is good to have, and then a bit of AoE, and Fragile is always good. Okay, but let's get into the the interesting one. So Holy Prayer I've talked about before already. Is the main thing is actually remove 1 curse. Of course, getting a damage boost and healing is good, but basically removing 1 curse card is already basically shutting off the basically so-called curse build in a way. Not that it's very popular, but the curse build is basically countered by this particular rune. Okay, let's get into the actual cards and then runes and charms as well. So again, a lot of card draw. You need a lot of card draw in this kind of build because you do have a lot of extra energy. So sometimes, yeah, you do need to draw into extra cards. Kestrel, very strong. Just disarm always put the Sun Charm on, right? Disarm the opponent's back Axie. Very disruptive. But I think the main thing to highlight is actually this card, right? Pigeon Post. Actually, it's not the card itself, but it is the charm where they have the secret egg, which basically allows them to get this. Is innate, right? Get this card at the beginning of the game. Okay, and, plus the Corntail as well just now, and then the rest is pretty much like just attack cards, which are pretty strong, and Mavis could be good. And then I'll show you the back, which is show the exchange, get extra energy every other round basically. Yeah, so the days can be annoying, but you can remove them with the Holy Prayer. So here's the other one that's interesting, right? Is another Pigeon Post having innate, so meaning turn 1 you just play 2 Pigeon Posts and you're just disrupting the opponent. First turn's draw, or turn 1 or turn 2. Actually turn 3 if you go a second. But really round 1 draw, right? And then of course another disruption here as well. So a lot of disruption, which is actually kind of game's play style that I like. Having an eggshell could be good, doesn't have to, but I guess good to keep the front alive a bit, right? So you can distribute the damage across your axes. Card draw is definitely very important in this build as well. And yeah, that is, I would say, pretty much the main thing. And having a 2 energy cost card is very important as well, I would say, for this kind of build, because you do get a lot of extra energy. So you do want to make use of all the energy, especially if you have a Mavis as well. So really just trying to outvalue opponent by having the extra energy and just in this case disrupt them with the Pigeon Post. Okay, let's have a quick look at the opponent's team. It's actually the relatively typical, in this case, Beast Bug Beast team. So you can see the opponent has actually a lot of 0 cost card, which is very interesting. Yeah, may not be the most optimized build, but they are quite high up, I would assume, because it does gain a lot of the elo by beating this opponent. So you can see, yep, little branch, yep, having a tiny dino. So I would say pretty typical. Let's look at the bug. The bug, you can see now, is a very, I won't say standard, but this is similar to what I've featured before with the innate, right? So you can taunt to draw all the attacks into this axie, and then you have these card draw as well, because with the charm, right, allows you to draw cards or draw specific cards even, right, because you take a bug card, and then yeah, so you can also maybe an extra energy as well. So these two very strong. And extra card draw as well. Square Teeth could be strong. So yep, so let's just see how this plays out. And before I press, you can already see, right, well, it shows 2 is because they are they're going to use Discordant Tail. And then yeah, by turn 1 you can already do it is kind of like a fixed draw, because with 3 innate you will draw these 3, right? So Discordant Tail, Pigeon Pose. This is basically how it goes. Okay, so you get an extra energy, then just double Pigeon Pose for the first turn. Then let's see, so the opponent is gonna have a rough time already. But actually in this matchup it's actually not bad, because you do want to have taunt for your back axie anyway. So that's why, okay, interesting to play the Square Teeth first. Alright, because they do want the shield as opposed to extra damage. So yeah, interesting that they just basically use a taunt for the back, which is actually good for the opponent. Okay, and then just making use of all the extra energy, because you can see 3 energy round 2, so already getting an advantage compared to the opponent. But yeah, very rough draw for the opponent, unfortunately, but do get the card draw, so actually can manage to use all the energy possible. And yeah, setting up quite nicely, to be honest. Alright, so getting the Fear and then a Ronan. Unfortunately don't get to use the Discordant Tail. But yeah, it was a rough draw for the opponent, but still I would say okay. And then yeah, okay, the Castro, very disruptive. Card draw, very important, right? So you can see with this card draw actually does allow Rengoku to finish the back axie off with the extra energy from the Innocent Lamb as well. So okay, so now 2 extra energy used. And yeah, usually you don't want to use like all these confused, and also the Discordant Tail has the downside, but the downside turned to the upside in this case because of basically this Holy Prayer rune. Okay, so it's a trade, and you can see it's now 2 on 2, but then the opponent's axie is a lot weaker at this point. And now, you know, disruption coming in, very tough for the opponent. Alright, so sleep the back and hit the front. This is you know, always a typical kind of play for these kind of disruption team. And interestingly, playing the Mavis up top, and you can see, right, 4 energy just now. Very rough draw for the opponent, and that is a GG, because it's just very rough. So you can see this kind of disruption can be just very strong, and of course having the extra energy every other turn does allow you to gain the advantage against the opponent. Okay, so let's actually watch another one which might go a bit differently and see how this one goes. And maybe let's just go into this one. Yeah, so last game definitely shows how strong this Holy Prayer and yeah, and Shady Exchange can be, and also pair with the disruption as well. So basically the opponent really is tough. But okay, let's take a moment and see what the opponent is playing, because it's a very interesting team as well. Okay, so let's just actually look at the front, and you can see a pre-order tag. That's why you see 2 seals. Okay, so the opponent is actually a very strong opponent with all the strong charms as well. Pre-order tag allows you to get the seal, meaning you can choose the next draw. And then yeah, Pokey with the rocket, very strong as well, because you can choose which axie to target. And then let's look at the mid. The mid is the plant with the Gaia Embrace, which is one of the things that I said is going to be the meta, I feel, because it just gives you so much value. Okay, this one very interesting as well, is that it gives you innate as well, I think. and yeah, allows you to actually get the taunt. Right, that's why it is here. Alright, so it allows you to get the taunt at the very first turn. So you basically keep these alive and yeah, get more values. And then the rest actually, yeah, Shiba also allows you to get a lot of rage stacks. More way, basically many ways of getting rage stacks as well. So meaning this particular plant can actually get into rage Fury mode pretty easily as well. Another puppy as well, which is very interesting, because got a seal here, right? But this one, a puppy, allows you to get back and not the card that you discarded, and yeah, a lot of consistency you can see, right? Just being able to choose your card for your next turn. And then let's look at the back. Endless Anger, very strong. That's why there's a very strong opponent, right? And another pre-order tag as well. So that's why you start with double seal, and then a little branch and Shiba getting you the rage stacks. So yeah, very strong. Of course, Endless Anger. That's why it's a very strong opponent, I would say. And Ronan, so very typical back piece with the pre-order tag, being able to choose what you get. So that's why you do start with the cactus and then the double seal. So let's just see how this one goes. Okay, so playing a cactus to taunt, and then just being able to choose the next draw, which can be very strong, especially at the top level. But here you can see being able to use all three of these cards because of the pre-order tag on the Cotton Tail as well. So yeah, so this is basically about disrupting the opponent. So actually the opponent is pretty rough, right? Because you can see the next draw is gonna be very bad, right? So this, oh my goodness. Yeah, and the Endless Anger beast might actually go down because of the taunts, and yeah, so basically skipping a turn in this case. So our opponent has a very rough start. Yep, so you can see, but unfortunately is that Rengoku can only do an AoE, which is not ideal. I guess you do want to get this beast down ASAP in a way, but it's okay. I mean, still managed to use all the energy, but of course also rough to get the days now because the Holy Prayer will get rid of the days pretty soon. Okay, and then a Shiba, so you can see getting into rage mode already, but not having any cards to go there is very rough. So the opponent really wasting the wasting the Fury mode already. So you can see it's pretty rough, going pretty rough for opponent, but you can see the opponent managed to actually choose what cards to draw next turn, so maybe they can come back from it. Yeah, and the Endless Anger pretty much zero value, and the opponent is pretty much one Axie behind, more than one Axie behind, I would say. But it does get into the rage mode because they can choose which card to get, and then KO the front, getting more rage stack, and the Ronan manages to get the knockout. Oh my goodness, 2 KO in one turn, and now actually Rengoku is in a rough position. But still, you can see how this game can come back, right? With the sleep at the back, and then an eggshell at the front. So extra energy as well, right? Drawing a card, which unfortunately is not an attack card. Do choose to save the card instead of playing the Mavis, which I'm not sure if that's the right play, but let's just see how this one goes. Okay, Shiba getting more rage, but in this case doesn't matter too much. Okay, so just trying to hit as hard as possible, and it doesn't look like Rengoku can have the damage to go through these. I think sniping off the back, just missing out the damage. So I understand why Rengoku went for that play, right? Because when I snipe off the back, then this will have less HP to work with, but unfortunately just not having the extra energy as well. Because if it's a very close game, I must say, right? Just one sword away from winning as well. So, but you can see how the Shiba team, the Rage team, can actually come back despite losing the back Axie, right? Getting the front two in the Fury mode can still do a lot of damage. Okay, so this is pretty much it for today. So thanks for joining. So this is basically the team that you see, and of course, you have at this point level, you have to have the I would say those innate charms to be at the highest level in terms of consistency. So if you do want to improve a bit, yeah, maybe look into those. Of course, those are pretty expensive, but yeah, it shows that it does improve your win rate by being able to start, choose what cards to start with is really very strong. Okay, so right, that's it for today. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you next time. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed my video, do consider giving me a like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitch, and use my Lenosian code Morris. Thanks again, and have a good one.